Welcome back to the Social Distance Podcast. Bewley has got the yips, folks. He's normally good at the intros, but he's had a couple of bites at the cherry. Mate, what did we talk about on the show, Sam?
I can't remember. It's all a blur. We got George back. So the conversation flowed as per usual to this sort of rock bottom gutter level. But we
talked about boomeranging the Olympics once.
Yeah. We talked about the Olympics. Good. I think the overriding conversation on the show that you guys will find out is that we spoke about how can we expose cyclists in a more positive way.
Why don't we just? They're going to find out. No one listens to the intro and goes, "Oh, what do they talk about?" And they go, "Oh, that sounds shit." I'm going to listen. They're either going to listen to the show or they're not. So just don't even tell them what to talk about.
Say the only thing, if you are going to listen to the intro, is they want something for nothing, Bewls. They want 4 months free from NordVPN if they use the link.
Yeah, that's the whole fucking point of the intro.
Yes, nordvpn.com/social distance, and it will take you straight through an offer. We get 4 months free, and I think they want you to explain why would you get a VPN, Sam? And this is coming from someone that got hacked by Tika Tawari.
Well, I'll tell you why I'd get one. If I was watching this show, it's because you've got obviously some relationship to cycling and you enjoy watching cycling. So if you have had enough of your local commentators, and whether no matter what country you're in, you can change your country with the VPN. Subscribe to another channel. You can watch Eurosport. You can watch SBS if you're not in Australia. You can choose who you want to watch. You can watch whatever you want wherever you are in the world. And if our OnlyFans that we speak about on the show kicks off, you could probably even use it for that.
Yeah, like I could say I'm Stephen from New Zealand, and they'll look at the geo and they'll go,
Stephen from Dunedin, New Zealand.
Stephen from Dunedin on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got NordVPN, and I'm honest.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, I'm not committing internet crimes.
Yeah. But the website again quickly is nordvpn.com/social distance. Check it out. Let's just run the intro and wing it like we always do and see what comes out of it.
Let's get ready to rumble! Front kick.
Just getting forward and dance move chat.
My radar's going pretty hard at the moment. I think we should.
Will you shut up, man?
That escalated quickly.
We're going to need to get some more qualified guests on the show, eh?
Hey guys.
How you going, Samuel? George, welcome back.
Kia ora.
Good to have you back. Back down there on the bottom.
Yeah, what a hiatus.
Yeah, it has been a hiatus for you. It's been like pre-Catalonia, I reckon. To be fair, we've only done one other one.
Yeah, you haven't missed much, mate. Not much has happened in the absence. Hey,
I was thinking like how the boys go without me, and
there's that half-second delay.
What's going on?
But it was fine. We've been talking off air for the last 15 minutes before we hit record, and it was fine. And as soon as we hit record, it's like
this body with the internet delays is much like a sprint. Like you see a gap and an opening, and you go to make a point, but then another person kicks in, and he's got the same gap on delay, and then you end up just talking over each other.
Yeah. But what I was trying to say was, it was quite good for the confidence to see the boys struggling without you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You never want to see like people thriving in your absence.
No, it's like you don't want, like, if you're an All Black and you've been occupying the number 10 jersey for a number of years, and you get injured, you don't want that number 10 replacement to play better than you, and you lose the jersey. It's like there's always a risk that every time you're not here and there's a guest that comes on.
Yeah. The stagiaire to ride you off the wheel in Mercantor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, it's good to have you back with the shitty internet again, as always.
Yeah.
At least it's consistent.
My point I was going to say is I've been the victim of theft again this week. It's been a while since I've had something traditionally knocked off. And I bought these new runners about 3 months ago and left them in the doorway of my door here thinking, no one's going to knock those off. You know, who's going to knock off an old dirty pair of runners? Got knocked off, which begs the question, where's the bar at with what's up for grabs in terms of theft?
There is no bar. Everybody's bar is different. That's probably the problem. Everyone's bar is
Well,
different.
the pettiest thing that's ever been stolen. I mean, the pettiest thing I think of. Oh, maybe this is actually quite a good nab, but one of the for me, like when I crashed once and someone stole my Garmin, like a spectator. But then, have you guys seen that footage of I can't remember the bloke. It was a pro race, and he crashed, and a whole heap of them went down in a pile of shit. And one bloke was on the ground, and he looks over, and the other guy's like KO'd, and he just grabs the bloke's Oakleys, and he gets
Oh,
snapped from the
jeez.
TV footage.
That's always a
Oh,
risk.
that's pretty low
When-
bar.
Yeah.
With cameras filming a massive pile up, it's just too much risk getting busted.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a pile up in the main street and glasses go flying, very different. You can
Yeah.
understand that. You know?
But so you left them
think,
out the
like
front
in
of your
Andorra-
apartment door.
Yeah, because they're wet. So I've got shelving. So I put them on the top of the shelf to dry. There's grass and shit all over them. And they've gone out the next day. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, I'll put those shoes on. Gone. And then my brain's going, hang on. Who would want to steal those?
So
But
If
someone
you were in
from
Yeah,
Andorra,
yeah.
they would shut down the country. Like we had a situation a while ago because I was saying to the boys the other day about how I just leave my bikes out here and you can jump the fence and like, and they're like, oh, you might want to lock them up. But then there was this story a couple of months ago about a bloke in Andorra that robbed a petrol station and he got like €160, and the authorities here went and they just locked down the whole country. Both borders
Really?
locked down, traffic stopped half a day, and they just searched every car until they found the guy. And it was like
Shit.
it probably cost them 20 grand of road closures or whatever it is. But they were like, no one steals up here.
They do not tolerate scum in Andorra.
Yeah. Andorra's a
it-
bit of a militant state, actually, like when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit of like, I don't know, Franco-esque kicking about somewhere.
I'm actually on holiday in Girona this week, boys, which is a funny thing to say, considering I used to live here for the better part of 12 years.
Well, you used to always whinge about the tourists, and now you're a tourist. So you can't whinge
Yeah.
about the tourists anymore.
No. Yeah, I used to join those marches, like no more Airbnbs and like don't let anybody, like no more tourism, like fuck Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones fucking ruined this town.
You reckon?
Yeah. What do you reckon was worse?
kidding.
What do you reckon was worse
Lovely.
for the town? Game of Thrones or Eat Sleep Cycle?
I'll
Which
tell
did
you
more
the
damage to Girona? Because the other day there was a protest for. They literally got to the point like 3 weeks ago where there's a manifestation against cyclists. Is that right? It's like on the 1st of May. They just went. We're protesting the cyclists now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was more about cycle tourism, and it was more about like no more about against the bike shops or against the companies that rent bikes out, because they were like graffitiing like the bike shops and stuff, and there was like a couple hundred of them marching around town, because it's like, as far as I'm concerned, this like the cyclists, the rent in Girona, like to rent an apartment, has increased quite dramatically over the last couple of years, and I think they sort of see that as one of the reasons.
Yeah,
But
is it not like?
I mean,
Is that not sort of cutting off your nose to spite your face a little bit? Is that not like? Well, I guess maybe these people don't own a house in Girona, but I feel like the economy of Girona's gone massive because of. I mean, I also get annoyed by 40 wide group rides in Girona, but it's it's surely been a good thing, no, on the net positive.
Well, the alternative was the old town used to be full of crack cocaine users and prostitutes.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, it's not even a joke. That's what this part of the town was, and now it's vibrant and cool wine bars and lots of people, and so I feel like the alternative is better. I
mean, it's hard to put all of that down to Lance. It's hard to say, oh, that was all Lance is doing. like Lance moved here.
Wait,
Crack
20
cocaine
years
and
ago and
hookers.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's
no,
the
no,
strike
no.
rate of these protests? Like, what of the amount of times they protest in Girona, how much of it actually moves the needle? So they seem like they protest a lot.
It's fucking national sport over here, mate. Like,
I don't know.
there's a protest on today. Do you know what's happening today in Andorra?
What's
The farmers have just driven up to the bottom of the border down in Spain, and they're just like, right, we're not letting anyone in or out today because I think I didn't really fully sort of go into it, but I think it was basically Andorran farmers pay a different tax rate to the Spanish farmers, and I went, fuck that. Good luck getting your potatoes out, boys, and just parked up in front of the border with the tractors today.
The farmers are always at it, eh? But worldwide, really, these days, the farmers are at it. There's always a government trying to flick a farmer. Yeah.
That's one industry I reckon you don't screw with, the farmers. Like,
Yeah.
I reckon they're probably the most connected people on the planet and know everything. And anytime you're dealing with food, don't fuck with them, because if they start tampering with food supply, it's over, mate.
Oh yeah,
especially carrots.
What and spuds.
Should we talk about cycling?
Yeah, Giro? What about the Giro? So Pog won that. That was pretty predictable. I don't think there's much to report there. I think it was really interesting. Well, actually, it wasn't that interesting. Pog just took the piss.
Did you find that was the most uninteresting race you've watched?
It was. I found it interesting in some ways. I thought the race for second was good, second and third, like between.
But I just started liking getting into weird like numbers stuff where that was the interesting bit. Like, oh, can he win by 10 minutes? I need to see a round number. I need to see 4 digits. You know, it can't just be 9:45. I need to be, you know. I started like making weird games in my head to make it interesting. Like, oh, can he? You know, like just picking up random stats, like can he lead for 21 days? And you're like, right, we're really scratching numbers, X's and O's shit here to try and make this interesting because the bloke's winning by 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And as much as you want to get G'd up for like who's going to get 5th and 6th, it's a little bit like in F1 when you're like, you know, like they make a great job of doing the series and on like trying to work out who's going to get 7th and 8th, and they hype up a battle between 2 teams that are not really in the race. But ultimately, when you're watching it live, you don't really care.
No.
So they need to tweak it for TV. Like, with 3 days to go, it's almost like Deal or No Deal. They say to Pog, listen, for every 1 kilogram weight, we'll give you a bonus 200,000. How much you want to chuck on your bike? I want to go all 5 extra kegs. Yeah. Or something like some sort of handicap.
Or in the old Vallon races, what you used to do, you used to like get all your points, all your hill climbers, and then basically what they would do is the last day would be like, all right, now you've just earned your qualification. Like, it was all qualifying basically, and the last day was a TTT, like a team's time trial.
Yeah.
And it was, if you're winning, you start first with a little bit of a margin. And then if you've been getting your head kicked in, you start last. And then it just becomes first across the line. And it'll be quite good at some point in the Giro if they went, all right, boys, we're doing a scratch race based on your GC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pog starts 10 minutes behind the next bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And teams can gamble all the prize money they've earned to date on that last day. Just roll it into one mega day for cash.
It was like in some ways, like in some ways, it was actually really interesting watching Pog win by that much. Like, in some ways, it was like, okay, like it's already after a week of the Giro, we knew who was going to win it, barring crash or illness. But then, like you say, George, it was like, even though they're like scratching at the surface of like, oh, how much can he win by? Like, in some ways, I guess that was kind of interesting. Like, and
the only thing it reminded me of was when we played Tonga, as the All Blacks played Tonga when I was a kid. I remember they were like, it was 90-0, And in my head, I was just like, this is really exciting if we can make 100. And then it would just be this crazy, crazy thing. We can make 100 nil. So I guess, I see what you mean. Like, in some ways, it was also like we were watching absolute like that was the most dominant performance ever. I mean, as long as maybe not ever. I don't know. I didn't really watch cycling in the 70s, but I'm assuming like in my lifetime, that was the most outrageous thing ever.
It's up there.
But the thrill wore off after 2 weeks.
But it's true because I don't know. I guess from my side, like I think a lot of like sports fans are like, we all want, like, the reason why we were all like the world's population in general was like interested in tennis for a long period of time was because of Nadal and Federer, and people were interested in golf for a long period of time because of Tiger Woods' dominance, and like, so there's like the two ends of the spectrum. There's the one end of the spectrum that's like wants to cut the guy off at the knees and be like, fuck him, like he's boring, he's making cycling boring, he's winning everything, breakaways don't get a chance to win, no one else gets a chance to win. And then there's the other side of the camera. It's like, fuck, this is awesome. Like, we're witnessing the greatest of all time. Yeah. Where I sit in that camp, because I also think like there was that all that shit like in the Giro about like, is greedy. He's, how many stages does he want to win? Well, he's got the right to win fucking 21 if he wants to. He wins as many. He's allowed to win as many as he wants to win, and he can. And his team, and what he said is like, I get paid to win for this team. It's actually fucking dead right. Like, they do. They pay him a lot of money to win bike races, and his team work hard for him, and then he goes and wins them. It's like, okay, there's some days where you can be a little bit more like, if it's beneficial from a strategic point of view to ride easier and let a breakaway win to protect your team and look after them, all that stuff, that's one side of the argument. But if they're up for it and he wants to win, he's got the same right as me, you, or the fucking next guy.
Well, he let the EF guy win that day in the break.
Yeah.
There's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you remember that stage that Gino Mada was going to win in Paris-Nice?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago? And we won and Primoz caught him like 50 meters to go and beat him. And we got like ripped out for that. And I was like, fuck that. I pulled all climb. I pulled like 10K of that climb. I was on my knees. If I got to the bus with Primoz and they'd been there and Primoz was like, oh, yeah, I just gave it to that other guy because he was in the breakaway. I'm like, what? Fucking don't ever do that again.
No. And like, in some ways, you can look at it and be like, if you're a person, a rider in the race that's there to try to win the stage from a breakaway, or I mean, most people in the mountains can only win from a breakaway, because if you go to the line with Pogačar, he's going to win. So you've got to try your hand at winning the breakaway. So there is that side of like, after consistently getting like caught, and like the spirit comes out of that ambition, and people go like, fuck, what's the point now? Like, with UAE's just going to chase.
Yeah, but what else are people going to do? Just go on the breakaway. At least you do something. Otherwise, you'd be cock in hand in the peloton and still get dropped. You're going to lose either way, so might as well lose in front of a TV camera. But do you think it's weird, like that raises the question, like, why does cycling happen the way it does? Like, I sometimes think in cycling, so many things happen just because they always did that. Like, like, shit has always happened because that. Like, why is there an early breakaway? Like, it's actually like stupid. Like, I know it follows the same pattern. Like, let's take a sprint day, an early breakaway. Why? Because it's like, do you ever wonder why it always happens exactly the same every time?
Well, I think because if there wasn't an early breakaway, it's the foundation for strategy, I'd say, for any team.
What if we just rip that card up and go, let's restructure cycling and make it, everyone attacks 10K to go. I don't know how you change it, but it just seems like it has to happen that way. But it also seems a bit like illogical. Like, yeah, here we go again.
Yeah, I think like, if
why is there a breakaway? It's such a weird thing.
Because I think because it.
And why can't the breakaway? Why can no one else attack when there's a breakaway? Like if the breakaway's gone, they go, oh, you always say on the radio, careful guys, breakaway's about to get caught. Could be a bit of lack of control. Why do we wait for the breakaway to get caught before the lack of control?
Yeah.
Well, I think certain riders are changing how cycling's raced. Like Pog's an example of that. When he does these crazy attacks with 60K to go, everyone goes, well, that's not what you should be doing. And it works. So there's certain riders that naturally will change how cycling's raced. It all comes down to the individuals.
I think you could change it, but it would have to change in the sense that, like, if you were the dominant team, like let's say you were at Liège, Baston Liège, and you were UAE with Pogačar, then there'd be no breakaway if UAE decided to just ride fucking full gas all day. But the reason there's a breakaway is because people know they need to be in the breakaway to have any sort of chance, or that overriding in a lot of races is like the team sponsor, you're an invited team, get your name out there. But then there's also we can try to outsmart the peloton and win from the breakaway. But if there was the foundation of strategy comes from there being a breakaway, because then it's when teams bluff other teams by not riding, or how long do we wait until we start to pull before that team pulls. But nowadays, you're like what you're saying, George, to your point, is that happens less because if Pogačar's in the race, every other team goes, no fucking way we're riding, mate. If Remco's in the race, everyone goes, no fucking way we're riding. So that strategy, that bluffing, trying to get other teams to ride, it's doesn't really exist anymore. It's like when Catalonia, when we were leading with Schultz with the leaders jersey, and the next day UAE's like, you guys going to ride? I'm like, we'll ride through Girona because Schultz lives there and he wants it's pretty cool for him to ride through Girona. But once we get through Girona, we're stopping. They're like, oh, but you're in the leaders jersey. I'm like, yeah, but we're finishing on a 15K climb today, and we're going to lose the jersey to Pogačar. He's got 1 second, and Schultz is fucking good bike rider, but don't try to you don't bullshit a bullshitter,
Yeah. I actually, we had a massive that incident you're talking about, right? That day, the next day, one of those UAE boys came to me, and he's not the smartest bloke, and he goes, kicking off, why didn't you guys keep riding? We rode for 100K, so we gave him 50K more than we should have. Why did you guys like to ride? Having an absolute win. I was like, mate, pull your fucking head in. The bloke won by 3 minutes. That's why we didn't ride.
Yeah, exactly. And they were at one point they said to me, oh, we'll let the break win. And I said, well, we'll lose the jersey to the guy in the breakaway then. It doesn't really matter who lose the jersey to. We're going to lose it. So
cycling coverage needs, other sports, miking up the athletes in the stage. I reckon.
Oh, you'd hear some atrocities.
That's what I want. Imagine the first race that says, sorry guys, we're doing this, whether you like it or not. If you like Big Brother, the first 20 minutes, everyone will be well behaved. And then after an hour and a half, you forget the mics, and it's just a free for all.
Well, awesome. Do you remember when they mic'd up the boys in the KFC 20 in the Big Bash and it's sponsored by KFC, and they didn't want to be mic'd up, and so they just started talking. It was sponsored by KFC, and they all started being like, "Fuck, I could murder some Burger King right now. Fuck, how good would a Whopper be, boys? Sundays," and just riffing out just plugging all the other sponsors, and eventually they were like, "Fuck, turn the mics off."
Oh yeah.
Because they remember, I assume they'll do it this year at the Tour de France again. They did the mic'd up radios, they were sharing the radio.
Oh, how does that work though? Do they tell you hey, you're on now?
I don't know, but no. From what I understand, is there's a box. Well, I wasn't there, but there's a box.
Oh yeah.
There's a box in the car that's recording, and I think it's recording always, and they have a guy who's a filter who's going through all the information and filtering out and putting stuff on.
No, but it seems like the directors, whatever they say, they know they're going to say, because they just that's, it's not like a genuine chat. It goes, okay, guys, eat and drink, and you're just no one actually. And every time I see that and it pop up on the screen, I go, fuck me, if that was my director, that'd crack me, because it's really manicured.
They might have a button that they press when they go, right, if you're ready for they might have to do 2 or 3 transmissions a race, where the director could then press the button and go, right, we're on now, and then do his watered down, eat and drink, give away nothing, and then that gets fed through to the studio.
I'll let you know this year if they're doing it again. But So what my point was anyway, that they do that. They were doing that in the Tour de France last year. I assume they're going to do it in the Tour de France this year. But why? Like, okay, I know why. I know the reason why is because no one would ever agree to this. But wouldn't it be great from a TV perspective if they just let it go? Like, it was just like,
mate.
your radio's on all day, so say what you want, but it's fucking going on TV.
Well, you're actually the case of that because when you got Daryl in the car, he films the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're basically on all day, and then
Yeah.
you forget you're on. And then Daryl, next minute you'd see a clip of you on Instagram going,
Oh,
you fucking, you know.
mate, no, I've
swearing.
been stitched up a couple of times. The stuff that doesn't go on Instagram, like I was just in Down Under on the last stage, because Daryl just turns his fucking camera on, and then I'm like, forget, or like I don't know, and then I was just like talking like, I was saying some stuff that I would never even repeat on this podcast, and Daryl's like, camera's on, bro. I'm like, fuck, the team media piece of people have to go through that now.
Oh, because Phoebe or something will go through it.
Yeah.
And then she'll have to listen to you dribbling on about something horrific.
Yeah.
And then
Like,
into some
she's
terrible
my friend.
crimes.
I was
Yeah,
like,
and
don't
she's
watch
shown. I've never heard
when
this
you get
side
to
of
the top
Sam.
of Mount Lofty, the final times, just cut forward 20 minutes.
All the stuff I said about hookers and cocaine, that was a joke.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I reckon, imagine if you had a team that was fully committed from day one to the end of the season and somehow got through all the checks, and they said, we're going to be the first ever team that is just going to be fully broadcast. It's like Truman Show of cycling. There's going to be live cameras in the cars, on the bikes, in the bus, whatever. There'll be certain scenes that you can't see, but you pay a subscription to this team, like a membership, and we open up the floodgates. You can watch all of it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think I've told this story many times before, but when the Jumbo guys had a documentary once years ago, I think it was even maybe Rabobank, or no, it was early. Yeah, I can't remember. But they said that there was cameras all hidden on the bus, and when they were talking about stuff they didn't want to hear, they just literally got their dicks out and went, film that, put that on TV.
Yeah.
And it was like, so you need the riders on board as well. You need some kind of like.
But I think if your
cohesion.
team, if you sign the riders from the start and they know this, and you go, listen, part of your contract, we will pay you 5% of the OnlyFans subscriptions or whatever.
Would that get shut down by the ASO and UCI and all of those content rights and stuff?
Correct, because they own when you race on the race route, that's considered their property. But
didn't you get done for using race footage or something once?
Yeah, the Giro, night before the 2016 Giro. They said they got IMG to renegotiate all the rights, and this was on the back of us showing Paris-Roubaix and Heyman winning it and doing a 20-minute video. The French guy who works for the Giro's like, says to me the day before, I knew there was a stink. And he goes, how did you get the vision for the Paris-Roubaix? I said, what do you mean? How did I get it? I pinched it and ran it. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. And I thought, that's a weird question. And then it came back like an hour later. Barred. Can't run any footage from any of their own zones, which meant the bus, everything. And then remember, it was getting beyond the joke. That's when we did the toy videos. And I lost the plot. And I was like, this could be a career killer, boys. I'm pretty much on my way out. It was true. I think I was out of the sport 15 months later. So, but if there's a way around it,
I wonder if we could issue a word sneak challenge to Sam. See if we can get some phrases, maybe some of the listeners send in some phrases that we want to try and get on the Tour de France.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be very hard considering I'm not actually talking on the radio, but I could try to sneak it off Steve every now and again when he's not looking. Just do a word slip.
Yeah. What was the nickname that the fans settled on for Pogačar?
Oh, there's a few.
I haven't heard one better than Snoop.
What are you talking about?
Snoop Pog.
Last episode.
What are you talking about?
Someone called him the Cannibal. And I said, I hate it when they rehash old nicknames And then I joked. I said, "There's only one cannibal, and that's always going to be Bernardino." And then that's when Mitch was going, "What are you talking about? It's Eddie Merckx." And then we said, "Okay, well, let's come up with a nickname for Pogačar." And then I didn't have one ready, so Bewley
Snoop
ripped me and
Pog.
said,
That's great.
"Snoop Pog."
Yeah, like it.
I'm just trying to find the comments now. There was a few. Snoop Pog is good, actually. To be fair, I didn't like it at the time, but I'm sort of coming around to it a bit more now.
But this is the other thing: when you dominate a race like that, when he's coming to the line, commentator's been stewing on what he's going to say for pretty much the whole stage. Like, what creative nugget is he going to throw for that little soundbite for the news? That's always a bit of entertainment. Like, how are they going to wrap up as they cross comments before on?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Do you think that commentators have that up their sleeve? You think they've thought about that on the way, or do you think it's just like it just comes off the tongue? They're just exuberant people.
No, they think about it for sure.
Carlton Kirby doesn't think about it. He just yells noises because he's got so much. There's so much shit coming out. There's no way you could memorize how much. You know what I mean?
We should get.
Like he's just calling what he sees.
Yeah. We should get Robbie on again. We had him on last year, didn't we? On the show after the tour or after the Giro.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
A couple of years ago,
Yeah, it was good.
We should get him on because he's come up with a couple of funny ones. Like he's always got a couple of funny.
He got himself in a bit of trouble, eh? Didn't we get him on just after he'd been in trouble for saying?
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
There was some joke that went a bit
I know
flat.
it was Fudge Packer.
Oh yeah.
And because it was he didn't know the connotations.
Yeah.
He was talking about a chocolateria or something like this.
No, he knew the connotations.
Yeah. Oh,
George just tried to help out a mate there. But the old Madison,
but also fuck. There's
yeah, it's done. But you talk for 4 hours. Put a microphone on us.
Yeah.
Put us on a microphone for 5 hours live with no ability to go cut that.
But also, like the reason Robbie's a good commentator, like Robbie's a good commentator because of his color, because of his wit and like he's obviously strategically great, but like he's got good wit and he's quite funny, and you can't you have to let that flow. That's how you get the best out of people. I mean, yeah, you can't be on there and go, "What the fuck's that guy doing?" But like within reason,
how's Nathan Van Hooydonk? Nathan Van Hooydonk goes on the other day, so he goes on the after show. And he said, some guys that stop for a piss, and all the looks at him and goes, "Oh, we don't really say piss, we say pee." And he goes, "Oh, fuck, sorry." And they just went, "What?
What?" Yeah. I don't reckon it's going to be long before there'll be just this rebel commentary for like the Tour de France that is just F-bombs.
Well, yeah, an alternative commentary. You press the yellow button on your Sky remote and you get a bunch of knobs like us talking about people.
Well, we tried that at the Worlds with Mitch a couple of years ago, and we drank about 18 cans
how did it go?
in the sun. By the end, it was terrible. We had to get bloody Bewls to dial in.
That's right.
Well, I reckon the problem is you drank 18 cans.
Yeah. It's too long a day. Yeah, you got to pace that.
Yeah,
you can't do the whole
Luke Rowe did it for one of the stages at the Giro. He just did the last 30k or something. I think that's the way to do it.
He was good. He was really good.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot with Eurosport. Rowe.
Yeah, we used to do that.
But I saw that
just on WhatsApp.
What?
But me and Bewley, we'd be commentating the tour ourselves. It'd be like 2 a.m. here, and I'd have 3 or 4 reds, and then I'd just fall asleep. And then I'd hear this, "Yeah, I'm going to bed, bro?" And I'd wake up, and the race is already finished. I'd nodded off for the last 15 Ks with the earbuds. Yeah, good times.
Grim times.
Yeah. So then so now it's I think Dolphin is going to be interesting, eh? Actually,
Can I publicly put a dart?
Probably not.
dark horse
Yeah.
out.
Mm.
Well, there's going to be interesting in that Derek G is going to surprise the world.
Mm.
Who?
I reckon he'll run top 15 on GC, maybe even better. Top 15.
Mate, this guy's
Who
a
is
god.
it?
It's been interesting. Derek G. We've just been at training camp, so we all our wide has just been up in Isola, up in France, to the Tour de France, and
Mhm.
it's one of the first times in my career where it's been like, all right, guys, there's this many riders for this many spots, and we're all going to stay and live together and train together. And I went, how's this going to go? Like, because in previous teams, that would have been a recipe for disaster. Like, it would have just not worked. Like, I was thinking a few years ago, we had a team, one of my Tour de France teams. I mean, we had so much tension between some of the guys. Like, we had a crisis meeting once because one bloke wouldn't weigh his food and the other one thought that was disrespectful. And, you're like, what the fuck? We're grown men, So I thought, how's this going to go with a lot of guys for not many spots, all training together, trying to get the spot. And it actually was just great. It was such a great camp, great good people. It actually was just like everyone just went, right, I'm just going to do my thing, do my training. And there was none of that, like, no shit between riders. It was actually just like this harmonious, really enjoyable experience, which caught me off guard. But I feel like it was very lucky that we had a good group of people. Whereas like that situation where let's say they put 12 guys for 8 spots on the top of a mountain without their families for 3 weeks, I reckon with the wrong 12 guys, that's going to go absolutely south.
Oh, mate, imagine the OnlyFans team. You're going to get 3 cracking episodes out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
That should be a series.
Bangers.
Who's going to make the tour team? And it's a selection. And each week they relegate one guy.
It's like
They all
Survivor.
get together and they all, Survivor to make the Tour de France team. You vote. Yeah, one guy gets voted out.
That's it. And then
so you got to be political.
But to make it real and just
chain ring or something, instead of putting his flame out, just put his chain ring on a hook or something. I've
Hang his bike up.
Or
just go and puncture his tires.
Just puts his Garmin or his meter just in a box. Yeah.
And to make it real interesting, you don't go with like 12 guys for 8 spots. You go with the whole team. You go 30 blokes. Because then you sort of have the guys that are like for sure not making the team, like the 30th ranked guy. And then you've got to, like, someone's got to be the asshole and vote the dude off first.
You do it with mechanics, you do it with Swannies, you do it with directors, you do it with everyone.
Everyone, true.
Yeah. Everyone. And it's just a fight for the tour team. And if you don't make the tour team, you're all fired.
Everyone plays like different ways, like different strategies to get selected. Like, I'm going to be like, look, I know I'm not going to be fast, but I'm going to be like a real good guy and helpful, and maybe I'll get closer to the, like, and all this shit. And then,
that'll be good.
Great.
I'm more and more into this all exposure team, full exposure team, because there's even like little incidents that happen in races that aren't necessarily like bad, but are just funny. Like something that made me laugh the other day was like that I heard the story of, we did this small race, Mercan Tour, just after the end of the camp, and one guy attacked, and one of our boys followed, and he wasn't on a great day, and the other guy was like, roll with me, they were 2 up, and our teammate just laughed at him, like out loud, laughed. Like, it's not a bad thing, it's just funny, like like getting us laughed out loud at a race and just shut down, like, piss off.
There's so much that, like, it's a challenging sport to do it, but if you could somehow just have a camera in the middle of the bunch the whole time,
it'd be awesome.
You'd see some awesome shit. And so I was going to say, when I was talking about the radio thing, do you reckon in Formula One, you know how when you're watching Formula One on a Sunday Arvo and it says like cuts to the radio?
Yeah.
Are they doing this? Are they running like a filtered, edited system as well?
They must, because there's no way they want to give away when they want to pit.
So I've been jumping in on, with my work, live broadcasts, so that I'm getting trained up to be a line producer. And basically that's, how this all works. It's not
on F1?
Not on F1.
Or just, just in general, line producer.
We'll build up, mate. Might lead to golf,
fucking
whatever.
Or sort of Caulfield Cubs or something.
Yeah. No, the PFL. But it's fascinating to see how it all works because everything just comes, it's like a funnel. It all comes into like a system. So they would have a run sheet that says, we need to go to X amount of radios for the race. And the producer would have in their ear the guy who's on sound feeding him, hey, I got audio from Ferrari. How long's it run? 5 seconds. All right, let's go. All right, guys, run the thing. Boom. That's the process. So they wouldn't even know what it says. That they'll be cutting it up.
But surely Ferrari would have an edit on that and say, because the last thing you want is like, all right, boys, the tires are fucked. We need to pit. And then the team behind me going, oh, they got a pit next lap, so don't push the pass. Just
I think there's, as long as there's a delay, the way they get around it is if it's not real time information, if it's maybe 25 seconds or 30 seconds, it's still relative for the viewer, but it's not enough real time to cost. So a lot of it's retrospective. So they go, all right, they've gone and changed the tires. Let's have a listen to the radio, and it'd be like what was happening leading into that. But you can't, like the Netflix we've talked about on the show before, you can't give teams too much buy-in. Otherwise, they cut all of it out. They go, no, you can't run that. Fuck off. You want the big bucks? We own the sport. We'll do what we want.
Yeah.
I just heard a story about this the other day. Oh, I was listening to an interview with this person that runs Married at First Sight. Have you? Maths.
I know camos.
Maths.
Yeah. I've met a few camera guys who worked on that.
So apparently it was just an interesting clip that they were talking about where they talked about like people, exactly what you said before, the first little bit, they know they're on camera, but then they just forget and they just become the normal. But the worst thing was like when people were like cheating on their partners, and then they would be like they would just come to them and say, they would just deny it. You know, they'd always deny it, like, oh, I'm not cheating. And then they would come to them with the camera evidence, but you've just been hooking up with this other person. And they go, no, I haven't. And they go, well, what's this? And they go, fuck, you can't run that. You can't run that. And it's like, too late. We have to run it. It's TV. You've signed up to this. And then they just, you know, like, you fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shocking. And then they pump them with grog. That's the other good one. And then they drop little hints about stuff they've said in previous interviews just to get them all emotional. That it should be illegal.
This is a bit chapo.
It would be good to bring it into
to go on that.
Oh yeah.
Maths.
So the new Netflix comes out soon, no?
Yeah, in a week or something, isn't it?
Today? Or
is it today?
Might be. Yeah, I think it's today, 3rd of June or something.
Yeah, right.
The latest series of the Tour de France, Netflix.
I'll be checking that out.
It's good.
Yeah.
I like
we'll
that.
We'll be able to slip in the show just after the Dauphiné's results, boys, and we'll be able to build up for the tour.
So it's going to be. I'm looking forward to talking about the tour. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves yet, but once Dauphiné and Swiss is over, it's going to be an interesting dynamic with Pog coming off the Giro, Remco coming back from injury, Jonas still only just getting going again, Roglic being a bit not as good this year, still pretty good though. Like it's in some ways it's like really.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I'd like to know if I'm gonna be talking about the Tour or the Tour of Wellany. I'll know after Swiss.
You'll be at a Tour. It'll be one or the other.
I'll be at the Tour. It might be Cebu, but it might be a Cebu Tour or Tour de France.
Yeah. But regardless, your input will be well received.
One last nugget I want to ask you boys is this the shittest build up to an Olympics Games ever in terms of flying under the radar?
It is under the radar,
yeah, maybe. Right? It is.
Why is
Do you know what it is?
Are we over the Olympics?
There's no drama story. Like there's no Zika virus. There's no like tourists getting robbed. There's no unfinished stadiums. And then they just run the same like there's no shit story, and then they just run the same like athletes having sex, there's this many condoms. You know, that the same there hasn't been enough issues. Like there was a little bit about the pool, like the river being polluted, and they might have to do a duathlon instead of a triathlon. That was because ultimately the thing about the Olympics is, this is what I was talking to someone about yesterday. It's actually for being the pinnacle of sport, it's actually an amateur games, essentially. You know what I mean? Like not
Yeah.
many people like look at the New Zealand athletes, the rowers, the pentathletes or whatever, all these people, they're basically on government funded, like they get a little bit of cash
Yeah.
from the government, but it's essentially the amateur games.
Yeah, the like when the Olympics switched from being, because obviously it used to be amateur up until I think 1992 was the first time it was professional.
Because even
athletes allowed.
cycling, you weren't allowed to have a pro contract. Is that right?
Yeah. So 1992, I think in Barcelona was the first time professionals were allowed to compete at the Olympics. But since then, now that it's professional, you're right that with the exception of one or two sports, it's actually sport in general in the world is amateur. Like, of course, there's like professional tennis and golf and cycling and stuff
Basketball.
like that. But then basketball, but like athletics is like it's essentially amateur, with the exception of prize money or endorsements from sponsors. But people aren't employed and paid salaries. So like the Olympics in general it's actually amateur sport. Still the highest level.
Yeah, I mean, even
because
track
those
cycling.
sports don't.
Yeah. But would you say track cycling by that is amateur sport? I mean, it's government. It's no one's on a team, on a pro team, are they? For track cycling, it's government. You're getting a grant from the government.
Yeah.
As opposed to
It's-
Or
outside
racing
source.
Kieran's in Japan.
Mm.
Yeah,
about
But
it.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is largely like
that's
like,
right. Rhino.
And there's people who go to the Olympics who aren't funded at all, or like are funded to such a low level that you could almost say not at all. Like
Dan from Nam.
yeah, or like
I reckon the reason why there hasn't been a big lead in is because they learnt a lot from Tokyo, which was there was bugger all lead in, but once it's on, I was right into it. Like those 2 weeks, I was like, oh, how good's this? I'm up watching the bloody shot put. So don't burn your marketing and advertising because we're so consumed with short ads and like attention span. Just wait 2 weeks out, then start talking about it, or 3 weeks out. Till then, the old days of doing like massive campaigns for months out because there's just nothing else on. We were bored shitless.
Do you know what it might also be? Is like maybe like when I was a kid, it was so much bigger because I'd eat Weet-Bix, and on the Weet-Bix box there'd be the thing, or TV ads and stuff. Like no one watches TV anymore. No one watches, and it was all about our boys, national pride, like all this shit. And then like now I'm just over here and going like, oh, I wonder how that bloke's going with the triathlon, And it's like.
But sometimes I find the New Zealand Olympic teams a bit punishing.
I love it still. It's in my heart. When I see, I can support anybody. I'll just be up for any sport.
No, me too. I love it, and I'm like, I love the Olympics. I'll watch every single. I'll have my little baby would have just been born. I'm just going to fucking watch.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to be doing a lot of feeds just watching the games.
But like the social media world is sometimes, it's like what I mean is like Team New Zealand on Instagram. Like as much as I love you guys out there, and I know I was past Olympian for New Zealand, God, sometimes it's just punishing, eh?
Really? I don't know. Maybe I need to. I'm not across
feel good stories. Too many feel goods, man. Just fucking get out there and get stuck in.
Oh yeah.
What you need a real rough head to move the Bewley needle. What sort of content are you looking for, mate?
It's fucking like out there training and getting fucking not like
a bloke doing rowing with no boat, that kind of spec.
It's like just training, like what they're doing to prepare, not like
here we have James Wilson
giving away fucking bracelets at the shopping mall. Like
James Wilson was a delinquent.
Okay, now I'm gonna go a deep dive.
He was on parole for various misdemeanors. He's got a point to prove and repay all those people that he stole from.
But I will be supporting with pride every single Kiwi athlete at the Olympics.
Absolutely.
Hey, I want a bloke doing the javelin with a fucking ankle bracelet on. Not allowed to go further than
Yeah. That's a feel good,
Yeah, it's a feel good. He's not allowed to compete because he can't get on 100 meters from his house. Yeah. All right.
We should take bets on which country has the biggest like scandal before, like out of Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, we won't have any. They'll be the Aussies for sure.
It'll be Aussies.
Yeah,
Something
Aussies.
like
Do you know what you'll have?
Swimmers
swimmers
and
last
sleeping
year.
tablets.
No, the swimmers last year, what did they do? Punch up a cafe owner and then said that the last Olympics said that he got beaten up, but he actually beat the shit out of someone.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that
Since
old chestnut.
there hasn't
Do you
been
remember
any
this?
scandals in the New Zealand team since my era of team pursuit males retired from the Olympics.
Oh well, we'll
We got-
there was
formulate a
something-
market
There's something with
beforehand.
cocaine and the horse riders. The horse
Yeah,
riders,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Todd,
Yeah, Mark Todd. Yeah.
Mark
Yeah,
Todd,
that's right.
Blythe Tate, these boys were ripping cocaine and riding horses into parties and things like this. There
Wearing
was all sorts
mankinis.
of, they were up to no
Before
Yeah,
the
yeah,
London
they were up to
Olympics,
no good.
before the London Olympics, we were training in Bordeaux, preparing, and the chef de mission, like the boss of the Olympic team, came with a police officer to Bordeaux for one night to meet with us and have talk to us about protocols because they said we were a high risk group. Because we've been getting on the piss so hard in Beijing 4 years earlier.
High risk.
Oh, fuck.
It's such a nice way to put you've got a pack of degenerates here.
They were like,
Let's
we're
lock it
really
up.
worried. So then when
You boys
we
are
won a medal,
fucked.
so then when we won the bronze in London, we had to go to the New Zealand house to do all this media stuff, and we had a chaperone with us, on the train. It was Ian Heppenstall, who's a fucking legend. Yep.
Ah,
And
yeah.
he was
He's worse than you.
supposed to chaperone us to this thing and make sure we got back to the village. And the whole time we were just punching beers on the train, and we're just as soon as those doors open, hit the next stop, we're just going to bolt, but you won't be able to catch us. And we're just fucking winding them up. And eventually we got back to the village, and then he got off the train and was like, "All right, boys, now what?" And we're like, "Yeah," straight back on the train.
You're the only person that's left the Olympics, got home to your house for a night and went, what the fuck am I doing? I could be at the village getting lit,
Yeah.
and you went back to the Olympics, didn't you?
Yeah, because I was training for the team time trial worlds for Greenwich that year in Valkenburg, 2012. So I was I stayed for 3 days after we won the medal, but I got sick, so I actually only went out one night, and then I flew back to Girona to start get back on track, start training for the team time trial worlds. Got home at I had a massive night on the piss, went straight from the nightclub to the airport at 6 a.m. It's fucking hurting. Flew back to Girona, landed in Girona, was home in bed at 9 a.m. Sorry, slept all day, woke up at 6 p.m, booked a flight, flew back to London. 5 more days.
That's awesome. That was the year you were identified too as high risk, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, that's high risk behaviour, to be honest.
Yeah, that's nice. Well done, mate.
All right, boys.
Good.
All right.
I gotta get on
No
with my day.
worries. Yep.
All right.
Fourth time's the charm. Fourth yawn's the
I'm like-
charm for Bewls.
I might go get Botox. I've been looking at my face going, what's wrong with it? I just dove down. I think so. I just woke up, but I got bags and I feel horrible.
Oh,
Yeah, I gotta go. I got a
right,
lot of work to do today. Prepare George Bennett's assault on tour of Switzerland.
Yeah.
Right.
Stay
I'll
tuned.
see you at the airport. I'll see you at the airport on Friday.
Like,
Sounds
share,
good.
subscribe.
Mm.